Hello class, this is my first try to make a video for you. Um, and so I will go through chapter 5 and answer the questions from the textbook bit by bit. And today, or this first video, we'll be doing reading and annotating. So I'll read through this, hunt for any vocabulary words, and then I'll go back and annotate in a way that hopefully you will agree with. You should do this first on your own, because then when you have questions or when you disagree with my choices, you will have specific questions that will help your understanding, I hope. So, acupuncture, the new old medicine. What kind of title? We have an informational title, right? Kind of catchy, um, unless you're Chinese and you're very familiar with acupuncture. So the thin, extremely sharp needles didn't hurt at all going in. Dr. Gong pricked them into my left arm. Pricked means to poke. So let me do this here. Around the elbow that had been bothering me. Other needles were slipped into my left wrist and, strangely, my right arm, then into both my closed eyelids. There wasn't any discomfort, just a mild warming sensation when the electrodes were connected to the needles in my left arm. Electrodes are patches that are connected to electricity. And my muscles began to twitch involuntarily. Involuntarily means he had no control. So to twitch involuntarily means that his muscles contracted and relaxed without his control. So his arm might have been flopping. However, I did wonder what had driven me here, to the office of Dr. James Gong, a floor up from Mott Street in New York's Chinatown. Then I remembered the excruciating pain in that left elbow. Excruciating means a lot of pain, really, really painful. Several trips to a Fifth Avenue neurologist and 2 expensive, uncomfortable medical tests that had failed to produce even a diagnosis. So diagnosis means that a doctor is able to say something, a medical analysis. Let me put that one down. Can I make this bigger? At that left elbow. Several trips. Oh, sorry. Maybe you lean on your left arm too much, the neurologist concluded, suggesting I see a bone doctor. During the hours spent waiting in vain to see an orthopedist. Waiting in vain means waiting with no result. So if you come to my office and it's closed and you wait for 20 minutes and I never show up, you've waited in vain. And I'm sorry. I decided to take another track and try acupuncture. A Chinese-American friend recommended Dr. Gong. I took the subway to Canal Street and walked past the open-air fish stalls, the incense shops, the Asia Bank branch and restaurants with cooked ducks hanging in their windows, reaching Dr. Gong's second-floor office marked with a hand-painted sign. I felt I could have been in old Hong Kong. Sorry about the flash. My flash ruined this. Dr. Gong speaks English, but not too often. Blah blah questions to him were greeted with a friendly laugh, but I managed to let him know where my arm hurt. He hustled me into a room. He had me lie down on a cot and went to work. In the next room, I learned a woman dancer was also getting treatment. As I lay there a while, becoming oblivious to the needles and muscle spasms, the electric current shooting through my arm, oblivious means that you can't notice it. So after a while, you don't notice these needles and muscle spasms. I drifted into a dreamlike state and fantasized about what she looked like. Not sure about that last sentence. Not every acupuncturist offers such fantasy trips to China and beyond, along with the price of treatment, of course. Acupuncturists today are as likely to be found on Park Avenue as Mott Street, and they're as likely to be Caucasian as Asian. In all, there are an estimated 10,000 acupuncturists in the country, 6,500 of whom are certified in one way or another. Nowadays, a lot of MDs, meaning medical doctors, have learned acupuncture techniques, so have a number of dentists. Reason? Patient demand. Few, though, can adequately explain how acupuncture works. Sorry about the wavy picture here. Acupuncturists may say that the body has more than 800 acupuncture points. A life force called qi, pronounced chi, circulates through the body. Points on the skin are energetically connected to specific organs, body structures, and systems. Acupuncture points are stimulated, means excited, to balance the circulation of qi. It's all very confusing. The truth is, though acupuncture is at least 2,200 years old, nobody really knows what's happening, says Paul Zmiewski, a PhD in Chinese studies who practices acupuncture in Philadelphia. Millions of Americans now seek out the services of acupuncturists, usually because conventional medicine, meaning regular or normal medicine, not normal, meaning regular. So in the West, regular West medicine is going to a MD, a medical doctor, rather than an acupuncturist. So in the West, going to an acupuncturist is a different way to receive medicine. A regular cultural practice. Failed to cure their ills. Jack Timon, 51, president and general manager of Westinghouse Electronic Systems Company, is typical. Timon was bothered for 15 years with severe lower back pain. His doctor suggested disc surgery, but he decided to try acupuncture instead. A scientist and an engineer by education, Timon was highly skeptical at first. I went in with that symptom, and I haven't had any trouble with my back since, he said. Oh, highly skeptical. Skeptical meaning? Synonym? Doubtful. Timon was highly skeptical at first. I went in with that symptom, and I haven't had any trouble with my back since, he says. He still goes for treatments 4 or 5 times per year, but not for back pain, but as a preventative measure. Preventative measures means you're preventing something. So if your preventative measure for a low score on a test would be to study a lot before the test, right? So preventative measures happen before the situation that you're thinking about. It's been my primary form of health care for about 9 years now. Harwood Bevel, 51, executive vice president of the Rouse Company, started acupuncture 9 years ago for treatment of what I'll call tennis shoulder. The shoulder had bothered him for 2 years, and visits to other doctors met with no success, meaning there was no success. Met with no success, meaning were unsuccessful. Acupuncture had worked for his wife. After a few treatments, his pain was gone, and there were other noticeable effects. Immediately, stress didn't seem to be bothering me so much. Like Timon, or Tiemann, not sure, he too still goes for regular treatments. Acupuncture is used to treat a variety of ailments. Ailments meaning things that are going bad for you, like anxiety, depression, back pain, smoking, high blood pressure, stress, arthritis, the list goes on. Acupuncture is even used to help treat drug addiction with considerable success. The number of treatments can vary, although one-shot cures are relatively rare. It usually takes 4 to 6 sessions, meaning treatments, to treat a specific ailment. If that doesn't work, you'll probably feel at least somewhat better. Somewhat meaning a little. After 5 and the treatments from Dr. Gong, there has been dramatic improvement in my arm, and the pain is a fraction of what it was. I feel less stressed too, I think. The mainly silent Dr. Gong finally even offered a diagnosis for what ailed me, meaning what was making him feel bad. Pinched nerve, he said. Okay, so now we've gone through the reading and have thought about vocabulary. And now we need to annotate this. So first of all, we're going to do the 3 sections: intro, body, and conclusion. So pause the video and try and determine these sections on your own, and of course have a reason for these. So right at the beginning, we have the title and the introduction. We're going to start with a hook. I say the hook is here, and I'm going to do a fancy thing like this over the hook. Actually, let's see if the hook ends there. So it's a hook because thin, extremely sharp needles didn't hurt at all going in. It sounds like he's being tortured, but it doesn't hurt at all, right? And then he's talking about being poked more than once. And okay, still talking about this. Excruciating pain, is he, so here's excruciating pain. Is it still going on? You know what? I think this entire first page or 3/4 of this page is the hook, because this is the situation that he draws us into at the beginning to make us interested and to make it seem exotic and fantastic. And then we have some, after the hook, we want to see some background. And what do we have here? Background about acupuncture in the US. Do we have a topic or a thesis yet? Maybe here. So I think here we have the first, maybe even more specific background on acupuncture. And as you're doing this, you'll notice that I'm guessing. I'm making hypotheses, making guesses, and then seeing if it works out. I could change my annotation as I go along. So I think that this is the thesis statement. I think this is the thesis statement. Nope, I do not. I'm going to stick with that as background. So I would say, with that background, a lot of MDs have learned acupuncture techniques, so have a lot of dentists. So it's not a neat thesis statement, but it's saying that a lot of doctors are now using acupuncture, but people don't really understand how it works. And I don't really believe that. I think maybe with this author, this is the explanation. So if this is the thesis, or messy thesis for sure, then we need to find on this page body sections. So I think this here, I believe we have it in reverse. So I think here, the truth is, though acupuncture is really very old, nobody knows what's happening. I believe this is the thesis statement. And then this is the background, the specific details. And it's showing that actually people do know what's happening, although maybe it's hard for the author to express what's happening. Next section. So I think this is uh, the first body section, a little background about acupuncture. Now here, I think we have more of a regular topic sentence. Millions of Americans now seek out the services of acupuncturists, usually because conventional medicine failed to cure their ills. And immediately we could have right in here, what transition could we have here? We have a topic sentence, and immediately after we have a specific supporting example. So we could say, for example, so I would say, don't practice this, but they did. So here we have our first example. And then what do we have here? Is this another section? No, this is just a continuation. Example number 2, supporting the topic sentence. So this is all one section with a topic sentence and 2 supporting examples. And then a little bit of analysis at the end. So this tells you what they're being treated for specifically, these specific examples, and then in general, what acupuncture is used to treat, with these 2 examples supporting the general analysis. And then we have conclusion. So I guess in the future, it would be good for me to use different symbols. So why don't I use squares for body paragraphs? I know it's not straight, but, and then another square for this one. Is that ugly? That's pretty ugly, but hopefully it helps. So body section 1, and you know the topic sentence at the bottom, strangely, but it works here. And then body section 2, a much more predictable body section, a much more, what's that word, conventional body section with topic sentence, specific supporting example 1, specific supporting example 2, and analysis at the end. And I will circle the conclusion. Can I do that? Whoop. Yes, I can. So what else can we say about the conclusion? The number of treatments can vary, although one-shot cures are relatively rare. It usually takes 4 to 6 weeks to treat a specific ailment. If that doesn't work, you'll probably feel at least somewhat better. So this is like what was said here. So it's a general final comment about what's said here. So even if you don't feel better with your ailments, then you might feel less stress or something, right? So this is a move on right here, especially is a move on sentence. And then notice here, this is, in this part, the author, instead of having so they have a move on sentence, but instead of ending it there, they could put a period there, and that would be a nice short conclusion that would work very well. But here they go back to their hook. They go back to the story and they finish the story off. So this is a very good writing technique, where if you start a writing with interesting hook, then you can go back to it in the conclusion at the very end and finish your hook. So that's a nice way to end it. Okay, that's the end of this video. I'll see you in class.